What if there was a hidden corner of the real estate industry that almost no one talks about? One that's not only easy to start, but incredibly lucrative. Today's guest is pulling back the curtain on an industry secret that could change the way you think about real estate, entrepreneurship, and building true financial freedom. Today on the Pauline Chilton Show, I'm excited to welcome a true expert in the real estate world, someone who has spent more than 2 decades working across multiple areas of the industry, from real estate investing to managing multi-million-dollar properties. Lori Robertson has been in real estate for over 24 years, but it wasn't until later in her career that she stumbled upon something most people still don't even know exists: the world of property preservation, a hidden but thriving niche inside real estate that very few are talking about. After doing her own research, launching her own successful business, and realizing how few resources existed for beginners, Lori made it her mission to change that. She's now helped hundreds of people start their own property preservation businesses, whether to supplement their income or leave their 9 to 5 behind for good. She's here today to share her story, her knowledge, and how you too can tap into this incredible opportunity. Let's give a warm welcome to Lori Robertson. Lori, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Lori, before we get into the business side, let's go back a little. You're a proud Virginia native. What was it like growing up in Richmond? And how has seeing the transformation of places like Broad Street shaped your perspective on real estate and the community?
Oh, well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. I have been living here in Richmond all of my life, and the city has changed a lot. I live out in the suburbs now, but when you go down into the city where Richmond is, it has grown so much. I mean, there are buildings that were never there before. Sometimes when I go down there, I'm like, I can't believe where this building come from. Where did this building come from? But this state particularly houses a lot of college students, which is the VCU college that's here. And we do a lot of medical, they do a lot of medical study, and they have the top-notch cancer center, the Massey Cancer Center that's here. So the downtown area has expanded with real estate. I mean, it's just booming everywhere you look. A lot of college housing, a lot of townhomes and apartment complexes and duplexes, and all of that is kind of geared around the college students. But as you go further down, it's more apartment communities for, the more successful, affluent people. And then there's a lot of housing that's for, like, how do I want to say, maybe like the HUD properties and for low income families. So Richmond is kind of coming around to house so many different type of people. So it's wonderful.
That's great. And you have had a whole career before stepping into entrepreneurship. Can you share how you discovered the world of property preservation and what drew you into it?
Oh, wow. That's a long journey in itself, but I'll cut it down. When I was in my early 30s, I think maybe, so I don't want to age myself, but after I had my youngest daughter, I needed to find a job. So I started actually as a temp working in an apartment complex for elderly people, and which I love. That part of working there was wonderful. But I started as a temp, didn't know much. I learned everything from tax credit properties, Section 8, and stuff like that. And then I eventually worked my way up to become a property manager. So I did that probably until I stopped working, but that was my whole basis. But I still yearned to do something more than just be a property manager. I always wanted to have my own business. And when I had my daughter, I kind of felt bad because I couldn't, as she got older, I wasn't there for when she started to walk, and I wasn't there, for her first words and stuff like that because she had to go to a babysitter. So I wanted to be able to catch those moments and take my child to school and go to all of her activities and stuff like that. I didn't want to go to work, come home, help with homework, and then, start the cycle all over again. I hated to have her catch a bus or something like that. So I began on my journey to see what I could do to work from home. So I found a company that was like a network marketing company. And I started there. And I worked my way and I learned and I joined a level marketing companies. And I did a lot. My favorite though was travel. I was in a travel business. So over the course, then I started to learn how to be a network marketer. So then the online marketing game came on and I started to learn how to do that. Still kind of working, but then I had that great idea that, oh my God, I'm going to quit my job and be this full-time entrepreneur. And I did that about 3 times, and each time I had to go back to work. So I failed a lot on this journey. I kept, and it was tough. It was heartbreaking, every time I had to leave my child. But as she got older, that desire still was in me to continue on my journey to become an entrepreneur. So probably after all these years, in 2000 and when the pandemic hit, so that was around 2020, I ran into a young lady who was training on property preservation. So I was interested. I'm like, what is that? So when she started to explain it, I was like, what? You mean to tell me that this is in the real estate industry? Because during my course of trying to find the entrepreneurship, I did wholesaling, I did investing. I had 2 properties that I invested in and was renting them out. I did everything but be an actual realtor. I did asset management. I handled multimillion-dollar businesses, apartment complexes where they wanted me to manage them and do everything. But when I heard about property preservation, I was like, well, this is interesting. So I took her course. I paid a lot for it, but it was worth it because in my second week of training, I got my first contract. So I was like, okay. So I started off, learning everything I could learn about property preservation. I mean, from the top all the way to stuff that, you have to be more advanced to do. But once I did it and I got into the first service line was like inspections, I made so much money just doing that one thing that I actually did quit my job. That allowed me to quit my job along with the other online tools and marketing that I was doing. So it was a combination. And that's how I got into my journey of property preservation. That's a short version for you.
And that's so good that you share that you failed a lot and that you also found your success. So, for those who aren't familiar, what exactly is property preservation and why do you think it's been such a hidden opportunity inside the real estate industry for so long?
That is an excellent question. So what I found out, what property preservation is the securing and maintaining or maintenance of vacant properties, but mainly foreclosed properties that's owned by banks. They want to make sure that their properties stay up to date just in case they have to sell them, just in case, the person may still want to keep their home or whatever it is that the bank deems necessary to, get the most bang out of their book for their properties. And so when I started digging deep into the property preservation lane, I noticed that it is a niche in our industry that a lot of people don't know about because it's basically male dominated. And then at first, I didn't even know it's a $1 billion industry. I had no idea it was that huge, but it's mainly a male dominated industry. So when you look around, you don't see a lot of women. You don't see us there. So that's what gave me that, I got to get this into more women's hands because it's like they're keeping it for themselves, but it's a smart thing because what I noticed was the men were handing these businesses down to their children. They want to build a legacy for their family. And this is the perfect way because you're always going to have real estate and you're always going to have foreclosures. So this business is not going anywhere. So when I sat down and I started talking to one of the guys, he was like, yeah, we basically keep this in this niche here because a lot of people don't want to do the dirty work. So we want to make sure we have people in this industry that's doing it right. So I was like, what do you think? Women don't do this right? This is what we do. We know how to manage our schedules. We juggle stuff every single day, planning for our kids, our family, whatever. Who better to do property preservation than women because we can handle this and make sure things are done in a timely manner. So that's what I found.
That's great. And you just mentioned how much you love focusing on helping women, especially single moms and women who want to quit their 9-to-5s.
Yes.
What makes property preservation such a good fit for women looking to build wealth and independence?
Well, kind of like I was saying, we just have what it takes to be able to handle these properties. We know we can get in here and we can schedule, once you get into you get your first company, they give you depending on what your service line is, they will give you a contract or a work order. And then all you have to do is just do what it says. And who better, we do this. We schedule it. We can go make sure everything's done. We can hire our contractors. We just have the innate ability to be able to see things, get them done on a time, and then build the trust that we need to get people to do what we need to do to make the job the best one that we can do. So that's why I think it's an awesome thing for single moms, because you can actually take your kids out with you if you're doing like inspections or you're taking photos or something like that. And then just women entrepreneurs who like, I want to work from home. I want to stay at home. I don't want to be online doing digital marketing, but I want to do something. And it's also amazing for realtors, because realtors already know the language, the jargon, or whatever, however it is you want to say, to be able to pick up on it really fast and get it done. And it can supplement their income while they're waiting to sell their homes as well.
What I'm hearing is when you were starting out, you wore many hats, from inspections to repairs, lawn care to winterization. What were some of the early lessons you learned about running your own business in what's traditionally been a male-dominated space?
Well, what I learned is that we as women, we have to sometimes be better. So what I found is the best thing that I could have done, and that anybody that gets into the property preservation business could do, is to learn every aspect of the business that you can. So when you said inspections is like the first line of service that you can do. And it's the one that's the easiest, because all you have to do is just go out there and take pictures of whatever it is that they want you to take. So I learned that just make sure you learn your craft. That's the biggest lesson. Learn it, get into it, devour it. It's easy. But when someone, you may have to do like lawn care, let's say, and you may have to bid on the property. So you need to learn, what's the square footage? How much, do I charge for it and stuff like that. So I think that's the basic thing. I just think you need to learn everything that you need to learn about it to be the best that you can be at this business. And just kind of rub elbows, with some of the people that's out there. When you see some contractors, talk to them, find out, what does this mean? What is that? Can you share with me? What do you do when you do winterization? Because I had no clue. I was in property management, but I didn't winterize. I hired me a contractor to do it. I mean, a lot of the things that I do, that's what I did. So you got to learn how to find the best people to work for you. That's another thing, because sometimes people don't show up. Sometimes people just do it just because they need money too. So they'll do whatever just to get the job done. So you have to make sure that you connect with the right people to work for you and to set your business up the best way you can to make sure that it's successful.
That's such great advice. And now that you not only run your own business, but you also teach others things like digital marketing, social media, Pinterest, and organic reach, can you share some tips for someone just starting out who wants to use social media to grow their property preservation business?
Yes. The first thing is, it's really kind of easy to have the property preservation business grow itself, because once you get into it, you have companies that, you sign up for different companies, and those companies will give you the work. So you don't have to do a lot of marketing to do it. But if you wanted to go out and, once you want to grow, you can use social media and like Pinterest and Facebook, and you do video and reels and stuff like that, so that other people can see what you do that's in the industry. And then they may say, oh, hey, I see that you're in property preservation. We need our property maintained and secured. We need our grass cut and things like that. So I use social media mainly to help other women learn about the business. That's how I use it. So if that's something that a person wants to get into property preservation and learn and then teach other women, I strongly advise it. I would help that woman 100%. But yeah, using digital marketing, reels and videos and things like that's the best way to be seen. And then it'll also get you to a place where you can, sometimes you have people in the banking industry or the mortgage industry that do take a look at your social media pages to see if you're somebody that they want to work with. So that has happened to me before too. Oh, I saw your video and, hey, can you help me out? So that's a good way to use it too. But I also do online marketing, because like I said, when I started my entrepreneur journey, that's what I got into. So I learned the tips and the tools and how to market and, how to do organic marketing where I'm not trying to, I don't buy any ads or anything like that. And that transitions into, that's an extra money that I can have to help me build into my property preservation. Because, with a little startup, you need a little bit of, just a little bit, not a lot, to start the business. So that's a big part because in the age that we are now, AI is taking over. You're going to have to learn these, even if you are in real estate, you're a realtor or broker. You want to make a beautiful page or you want to, show your house or whatever it is. AI is here and you need to learn how to do that just a little bit. So it's important to learn those digital skills because it will help you, especially in real estate. It will.
I spent some time in my real estate career as a listing agent for foreclosed properties. And I've gotten calls from neighbors about the grass having not been cut or something being wrong with the property. Do you ever get called back out to the property after you've completed the preservation job, or is it more of an ongoing thing until the bank or whoever owns it has sold or released that property?
Well, in the beginning, I think it's a learning curve. So as an example for me, I've never had a call back about the grass or lawn care or anything like that. But I had a inspection to do for an insurance claim and for an adjuster. And we had to go and take a picture of the roof. But they didn't specify what part of the roof that they needed. So, it was an ice storm out here. So I'm out in the ice, going out to somebody's house, and the grass is filled with snow and ice and everything. And I'm slipping and sliding around trying to hit these pictures. But it wasn't what they wanted. They wanted like the side and all of this, the angle wasn't correct. So we had to go back out there twice to do that out there. And that's the only time. But yeah, it just depends on the companies that you work with. They will tell you exactly what they need and what, the pictures or exactly what they need for you to do to the property. And if it's not exactly how they want it, then yes, they will send you back out and you will not get paid for it. So you have to be very careful when you take the pictures, or either if you have guys that's doing any type of repairs for you, you have them send the pictures to you first to make sure that's exactly what they're looking for. So won't nobody have to go back out. So I did learn that, take the picture, read the description very carefully. And if you do that, everything goes through. But I've never had grass. They've usually, because I've been in property management and, for so long, I have guys that I've worked with, so they know what to do. So the property looks great. But for first timers or beginners, that may not be something that they'll be able to do. They may cut the grass themselves. And I advise that because any way that you can save money and keep all the money in your pocket, that's what you should do.
That's a good idea too. And I've got so many stories from being a listing agent of foreclosed properties, but I'm going to share, save that for another time.
Yeah, you get them. You see the craziest stuff out there. Like the grass hasn't been cut for months. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no snakes. There's no, sign from the city or whatever on there to get this grass cut. But it's been interesting to say the least of some of the properties that I have been into. I know this hasn't anything to do with the grass, but I am remembering a story where I had to do an inspection and I had to go way out. I don't remember where it was, but it was way out and it was a huge house and it was abandoned. And there were all these signs on from the city and I was supposed to go in, take these pictures. So, the trees were overgrown, the shrubbery, they had 2 cars that were just sitting there for months. And when I looked in the window, I saw somebody walk by real quick. I said, no, I'm not going in there because you do have squatters. And so, you have to be, safe. So that's when, I said, okay, I want to make sure a guy's with me when I'm doing these type of inspections. But it's just crazy because you do have these properties that they just leave abandoned. And they need someone to come out there and make sure that the property looks good. But a good thing about it is when you see different things that's not on your work order, you can put a bid in it. Say, hey, I want to know, this is what the trees and the shrubbery look like. Can I put a bid in and cut? So you can make money off of things like that for things that you wasn't even contracted to do in the beginning. So it's just so much. Property preservation is something that I absolutely love and I absolutely love talking about. So I could go on for days.
You've been coaching and training for the past 4 years now, and you've even created an ebook and a masterclass. Where can listeners find your resources if they're ready to start building a legacy for themselves and their families in this type of business?
I have created an ebook that's called Property Preservations for Beginner, A Path to a Six-Figure Income. And you can pick that up. And I'm also giving you guys half off. So when you go pick up these books in my class, it's half off. But you can get that at workwithlorirobertson.com/PDF. That's for the ebook. And then my masterclass is Property Preservation for Beginners Masterclass. And you can get that at workwithlorirobertson.com/masterclass. And I also offer payment plans. So, if it's something that, you can't pay fully, that's no problem. I got you. You can, extend it from 3 months to 12 months. I want to make it accessible for all women to be able to get in here and do this, because let me share a secret with you. Your first contract will be able to pay for what this class costs. Guarantee it.
That's great. Thank you, Lori, for offering that to our listeners. What an incredible conversation today with Lori Robertson, and I hope it opened your eyes to the amazing opportunities hidden inside the real estate industry. If you're feeling inspired and ready to learn more about how you can start your own property preservation business, be sure to check out Lori's masterclass. The link is right in the show notes. Whether you're looking to supplement your income or leave your 9-to-5 behind, Lori's resources are a fantastic place to start. And if you love what we're doing here on the Pauline Chilton Show, here's how you can support the show. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram to stay up to date with new episodes, behind the scenes content, and real conversations about real estate and entrepreneurship. Use our affiliate links for Adobe Creative Cloud and Descript. These are the exact tools we use to create and edit the show. By using our links, you'll get access to amazing creative tools and directly support the Pauline Chilton Show so we can keep bringing you more great guests and conversations. If you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and leave us a comment or DM to let us know your biggest takeaway. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, you have the power to build your own legacy. We'll see you next time on The Pauline Chilton Show.